Hello and welcome to this updated video guide for completing the normal version of Dzemael Darkhold in Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. My name is TSDS and in this video you'll learn everything you need to know to impersonate a lemming. This dungeon can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to complete due to certain pull tactics and the risk of wiping on trash. Now this dungeon is all about avoiding AoEs, so grab a torch and let's dive into it. Like most dungeons, it's pretty linear, but there will be some dead ends with treasure along the way. Zoom your minimap out far enough and you'll have no worries working out where to go. Now then, at the start you'll find a number of areas filled with strange purple fog and a bunch of bright crystals. It's super important that you do all of your fighting whilst standing inside these purple zones, because they give you a buff that reduces all damage taken by 90%, which kinda makes the trash a joke. The reason the game gives you these is because the first boss flies past you throughout this starting area and will AoE around itself occasionally. This decently sized AoE deals about 1000 damage, which is more than half of most players' health in this dungeon, so obviously you want that 90% reduction. Not far into it, you'll find this strange blue magic swirly thing in front of a door. Standing inside the magic seal for an amount of time will activate it, unlocking the door. The boss will likely hit you with one AoE attack whilst waiting here, as the seal is not inside a purple fog zone. Past the door you'll just find a bunch of trash and a treasure chest, so generally this gets skipped. The reason I'm telling you this is because you'll find more magic seals later that you must activate, but it's important to note that the more people standing in a seal at once, the faster it'll unlock, so everyone should help out with these. Keep making your way through the dungeon and you'll soon reach a larger room with 2 magic seals and a purple fog zone in the corner. Pull all of the trash and kill them in the fog. When they're clear, activate both magic seals. The first boss will be circling this room, so you'll take a hit activating the seal in the middle, but once both are done, the door to continue opens and the boss will make its way through it. Just past the door, you'll find the first boss line. Now, before I go over the first boss, there's an interesting pull tactic sometimes used by tanks here. It's not exactly that common, but I've seen it enough times to mention it in a video. Basically, because you take 90% less damage while inside one of the purple fog zones, some better geared tanks will pull everything down to the final room and AoE the trash once inside one of the zones. 100% do not do this if you're doing the dungeon for the first time, as the tank will still take a ton of damage. Tanks should always clear this with the healer before attempting, but not everyone bothers to ask, so healers should definitely be ready with cooldowns if you have a dungeon hero who looks to be making this pull. If your tank does try this and you can't heal them, don't worry about it because it's a dumb move to pull on an undergeared or inexperienced healer. If they argue, just link them to this timestamp of the video. Yeah, fuck off mate. Back to it. The first boss, the All-Seeing Eye, is immune to all damage, and inside the room you'll see a number of large crystals with one emitting the purple fog. The trick here is to pull the boss into the fog, as that removes its immunity. Unfortunately, the fog won't last forever, and you'll get a message informing you that the crystal's power is dimming. Not soon after, the purple fog will fade, making you vulnerable to the boss's strong AoE attacks. However, when one crystal starts to dim, another crystal in the room will start emitting the purple fog, so you must pull the boss to the new fog and repeat when necessary. Over the course of the fight, many pairs of adds will spawn, which should be focused down. The demon looking adds that spawn will do sizable cone attacks in front of them, so can be more annoying. Combine this with the conal attack that the boss itself does, which you should avoid, and the very limited area of the purple fog, and you've got a pretty tricky thing to tank. Tanks will need to do the best they can to position the enemies away from your party, but nothing one-shots when you're in the purple fog, and you obviously don't have a ton of room, so don't stress too much. Now then, when the crystals change, there is a short window where both emit the purple fog. You may want to move over as soon as this happens, rather than waiting for the zone you're in to vanish, but this is pretty much up to you. Lastly, you'll likely have a limit break ready during this fight, so be sure to pop it as it'll regenerate before the last boss. Once he's down, a Magitech transporter will appear in one corner of the room, so interact with it to teleport further into the dungeon. The next area involves making your way through the Valley of Frogs. It's quite a short area, but the many giant frogs will do large AoE knockback attacks that you must avoid. Getting hit by one of these attacks will likely send you off the cliff, pulling a whole bunch of monsters that you would normally skip. Players with pets or skills that alter your position also need to take extra care here, as it's very easy for you or them to fall off and get into trouble. You'll also find some large orange crystals that will occasionally AoE around themselves, so watch out for those too. The minimap here is a bit confusing, but you just need to head to the southern area where the cave continues. There you'll find a bunch more orange crystals with the odd ranged monster sprinkled in to spice things up. Nothing here is that hard, but if you've some silencing attacks, you can use it on these ranged monsters to force them out of the orange crystal AoE zones. Keep going and you'll eventually reach the second boss line. Once you jump into the pit, the second boss, Taulerd, will join you. Taulerd has both frontal and rear cone attacks, so tanks and DPS need to watch out. Over the fight, a bunch of non-interactive ads will surround the pit and start throwing stones at you. This can get pretty intense for the tank, who now must avoid multiple things at once, but I actually found this to be one of the funnest encounters to tank, so maybe you'll like it as well. When he drops, another Magitech transporter will appear, so interact with it and continue on. On the other side, you'll find 2 more magic seals right next to some orange AoE crystals. Clear the trash out and activate the seals to open the way forward. You'll obviously have to eat some AoE attacks from the crystals when doing this, so healers should keep that in mind. And again, remember that the seals open faster with the more people standing in them. After this, you'll have one more short pathway filled with conal attacking drakes and more AoE crystals, before finally reaching the last boss line. The final boss, Batral, is a big demon with big AoEs. He has a nasty cleave attack, so tanks should face the boss away, and he'll also whirlwind, so ranged players should keep a distance. At times in the fight, he will move to the centre of the room and create an obvious purple link between himself and one of the orange crystals. During this time, he is immune to damage, so you must instead attack and destroy the linked crystal. When this mechanic is going on, Batral will target random players, signified by a large target indicator on them, and unleash a series of 3 huge line AoE attacks on them. These hit quite hard, so the targeted player must avoid them. You'll also need to keep your positioning in mind so as to not cause the attacks to hit your other group members. Once the crystal is down, the fight goes back to normal until the next crystal becomes linked. After the 3rd crystal is destroyed, the boss will enrage. Batral will start targeting random players with a single huge line AoE and also spawn dark AoE zones around every player. These zones will explode when touched, so you'll need to quickly move out of them. It's at this point you'll likely have a level 2 limit break ready, so pop that shit and send him on his way. And that's Dzemael Darkhold Normal. If you've enjoyed the guide, then let me know, and if there are any other guides or perspectives you'd like to see, then check out my channel or feel free to ask me to create one. Thank you for watching, and good luck. I see you're still here. After another juicy tip? Alright, here's another. Why am I speaking like this? This dungeon can drop 2 sets of gear, chest and legs, for cloth and plate users known as the Colosseum sets. Keep an eye out for these and greed roll them if they drop. Of course, obviously need them if they're upgrades, but if you win them from a greed roll, you can sell them, and being that they're very skimpy outfits, they can sell for a decent amount of money. So there, get sexy or get rich. Enjoy.